Hey guys, what's going on? It's me, Jay, here to talk a little bit about Mantaur, aka Mike Halac, a wrestler who passed away not so long ago from our WWE days. The the individual was one of those wrestlers who will be forever remembered for being bad, horrible. During 1995, as the company was going through a terrible transition from the older generation where that kind of gimmicky stuff worked to the newer generation, this is what they were calling it. The pitch started in June of 1994 at the King of the Ring that they started to call it the new WWF new generation, and they didn't want to change course. They just wanted to change wrestlers. So instead of the really cool gimmicks like Demolition or the really cool gimmicks like, say, I don't know, Bad News Brown, or those really cool gimmicks like Earthquake, right, that were otherworldly, they would do the exact same thing, but they would do it to a lesser degree. So you wouldn't have Earthquake anymore. You wouldn't have Typhoon anymore. You would have people like Mantaur. So when Mike Holick, who I think was is a relative of PM Dawn, I'm not PM Dawn, the single PM News, the rapper guy from WCW in the early '90s that had the scaffold match with Bobby Eaton at Great American Bash 1991. I think he's a relative. Mike Holick was a relative of his, and that's how he got into the business. So Mike Holick is doing some things on the local indies, and he comes to the WWF in 1995. They have this idea for him. Uh, uh, Half man, half animal Minotaur gimmick. Now, the Minotaur is a mythological creature that exists in Greek mythology. I believe is the mentor to he's the mentor to um, Telemachus, the son of Odysseus, as Odysseus goes off to war in the Odyssey. He also does his battles with Perseus. In that, Perseus, I believe, slays a Minotaur. It's basically a half man and half beast animal. But how does this transfer to professional wrestling? Now we know professional wrestling is, kind of apes Greek mythology, but you can't really do it, you know, in an accurate way in a live action setting that is wrestling. Okay, guys, I'm looking up the Minotaur here. The instances of the Minotaur did appear in Greek mythology. My mistake, it has to do not with Perseus, but with the Greek hero Theseus. But anyway, they wanted to transfer this mythological animal to professional wrestling. So their brilliant idea they came up with was to dress this man in a Minotaur costume and call him Mantaur. Mantaur. And he had this big moose head that was so big he couldn't even fit into the ring. That's how big this contraption was. I saw his first match on Superstars. And of course, this kind of gear was going to be hard to get off. And by the time he got it off, it was going to look like freaking his opponent was going to beat him up by the time he was trying to take all this gear off. The gimmick didn't last. I think he did one shot And the Royal Rumble that year, he was managed by Jim Cornette, and he basically became a joke in in uh in the world of professional wrestling. Like when you wanted to point to a really bad gimmick, the two you would point to is him and the Ding Dongs that Jim Hurd was doing. So there's really nothing there. He did a shoot interview where he talked about his time there and that he was suffering from type 2 diabetes. Um, he died at the age of 55. He never really made a comeback because the gimmick was so horrible. So, rest in peace to him and condolences to his family. I didn't really want to make such a big video of him because a video of him, a long video because he deserves respect. He wrestled. He's memorable. He's probably memorable for the wrong reasons though, but he is memorable, and it was an attempt to introduce Greek mythology to professional wrestling. Hell, we already had Hercules, we had Zeus, so the Minotaur too. Peace. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and hit the bell button to see when my next video is coming out.